welcome to AGHOST Stories.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Kim. We are a part of AGHOST, Advanced Ghost Hunters of Seattle, Tacoma.
And we are here to share tales of our and others' first-hand paranormal experiences that bring us back again and again to share our evidence. We want to welcome you back to part 2 of Interview with the Ghosts, co-owners of Spooked in Seattle, for their first-hand accounts of the unexplained on Cherry and First in Pioneer Square. Ooh.
Those were actual ghosts right there.
It's a real ghost.
We caught them.
We got them.
We got them. Who are you going to call?
Kim and Gabby.
Kim and Gabby! Woo! Woo. With us are the very patient Mark Simpson and Ross Allison, who are co-owners of Spooked in Seattle. Spooked in Seattle is one of the original buildings built after the Great Seattle Fire, built in 1889.
Long time ago.
That's for Seattle. That's old.
That's old.
That's real old. And Spooked in Seattle is, of course, located on the original first floor in the Seattle Underground, which is part of why it is so delightfully haunted. It is also home to Seattle's only death museum.
Yeah.
As well as offering ghost tours and true crime tours. You can come and see yours truly do a tour or 2 or 3 or 20, depending on the day of the week.
Yes, because Kim is actually one of the tour guides.
I am a tour guide.
That
is how we say it when we introduce ourselves.
And if you want to get a sneak peek to the Death Museum, check out our Instagram at AGHOST Stories. Hey, plug. All right, and we actually welcomed an additional guest today. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
How's it going?
Okay, how are you?
Good. We're really excited to have Mark here as well. Do you want to speak a little bit to your relation to the business?
Well, I own it with Ross.
Yes.
And
what do you do here?
everything.
All the everything.
Pretty much.
True, yeah.
Except do tours. I used to do tours. I don't do the tours anymore.
So you are like the ducks paddling feet under the pond.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love it.
Pretty much.
Very cool. So how long have you guys been running Spooked?
Well, Ross started the tours back in 2004.
Okay.
And then I came on board in 2009. So I've been doing it for 10. I've been involved for 10 years. And that was as a tour guide because he was going on. He used to do the tour. Well, I guess he had a couple tour guides, but at that time he was the only one doing the tours.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going off on his lecture tour. It was around September, October. And I was unemployed at the time. I had gotten laid off from my job. And so he needed somebody to do tours while he was out of town. So I figured, okay, I'll do it. You know,
he regrets it, but yeah.
Well, some days I do, but I needed money, so it's like, okay, I'll do it. And then it just kind of took off from there. And then that was when we were doing the waterfront tour out of the Curiosity Shop.
Yeah.
And then he started working on the Pioneer Square tour. So
cool.
That's really when I came on board, and it just kind of evolved from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a skeptic, or would you consider yourself someone who believes in ghosts?
I believe there's something going on, but I don't exactly know what it is. But I think that most of the time, things can be explained.
Okay.
But every once in a while, there's things that you can't explain. I've had a few experiences here that I can't explain. When we first got this space, which will be here 7 years at the end of July, and the very first day that we got the key to the lock, it was late in the day, and we had gone to the store and bought some cleaning supplies because the place was just a mess. It had been sitting here empty for about 2.5 years.
It was flooded.
It was just it was awful. So we want to start cleaning up. So we went to the store and we got a bunch of cleaning supplies, a mop and a broom and just, paper towels and just a bunch of stuff. And again, it was late in the day, so we just came back. We dropped stuff off. We put a couple bags of stuff on the counter, and I leaned the mop and the broom up against the counter. And we left. We put the lock on the door, or we locked the gate, and we left. Nobody else had been in here. We came back the next afternoon, and we walked in, and it was like somebody had just taken all the stuff out of the bag and just thrown it across the room. The mop and the broom were laying, over on the floor by where the tables are now, the big tables. And yeah, it was just like somebody just like didn't want that stuff there and just picked it up and just threw it across the room.
Almost like it didn't want us here.
Yeah. So that was weird, and
That's weird.
that was a very first day that we
Yeah.
were in here. Yeah. One time I was closing up after the tours were done, and this has probably been after we were here a couple of years maybe. And I had walked around the corner to turn off the light switch, and when I walked back, the area where the pews are, there's the pews and then there's the brick like arches right between one of the parts of the brick wall and one of the pews. I was walking, so it was really fast, but out of the corner of my eye I saw a dark shadow, like a dark shadowy figure.
Was it moving or was it?
No, it was just standing there, and I could tell it was male because I could actually see the light between the legs. It wasn't like a woman's figure, wearing a dress. I could actually see the legs. But again, it was really fast, and I was walking, and I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, so I stopped, and I went back, and I walked back around the corner like 3 times to see if I could see it again, and I didn't see it again. There was one time, one of our employees, Amy, was here working, and she, I think she had said that she was going to go to the restroom or something, and I don't know, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but I remember I was standing behind the counter, and I just happened to look down the hallway towards the restroom, and there's the second restroom that you walk down the hallway and then you go to the right, and as I looked down the hallway, I swore I saw like a shoulder, like a woman's shoulder with like a black, like
sleeve.
Not really a sleeve, but I think she was wearing something that day that was just kind of like sleeveless, know. And I swore I saw a shoulder, somebody walking, and I thought it was Amy going into the woman's restroom. And 20 minutes later, she hadn't come out, and I didn't know where she was. I'm like, what's going on? Where's Amy? And I just happened to walk over by where the couches are. She was like sitting over there on the couches. And she said she didn't go to the restroom. She had been sitting there the whole time. She was taking like a break, and she'd been sitting there the whole time. And I thought, no, you're joking with me. And she said, no.
So,
but I didn't see her come back from the restroom. That was the thing. So
yeah, you didn't know she fell in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like she's been in there an awfully long time.
So I have a question about the bathroom. Because I've been in that bathroom before and felt real weird.
A lot of people do.
Definitely.
Which one are we talking about, just to clarify?
The women's restroom.
Right, not the one straight ahead. The one around the corner.
The one around the corner.
Yeah.
So there's 2.
Yeah.
It's the one that's around the corner.
Right.
Because there used to be the men's was straight ahead, the women's was to the back. But Washington, the city law is if a bathroom is not identified, with a urinal, then they both have to be unisex.
Well, if it's not a multi-person, like if it's a one at a time restroom, you can't call it men's, and it just has to be like gender neutral or whatever.
It's a bathroom.
Whatever, whatever.
Anyone's bathroom.
But that used to be the ladies' room, and a lot of people have felt and seen a woman in there.
Yeah, there have been lots of times where, somebody will go into the women's bathroom and they'll see somebody standing there and they'll go, oh, I'm sorry, and back out, and give them their privacy, and then they'll stand out there waiting for her to finish up, and no one comes out.
So like full-bodied apparition.
Yeah, you really think it's a person in there,
wow.
And then when you go back in there, there's nobody in there.
Yeah.
That happens quite a bit. In fact, one of our favorite stories that we like to share is one of our other team members was here during one of our meetings, and she had brought her daughter with her. And her daughter was, having a little bit of a fit. She was really young, crying, pouting. And she takes her into the bathroom. Well, she has to go to the bathroom herself, so she goes into the stall. And at that time, there was a door on the stall. Mark has removed the door. But she had the door shut. She was sitting in there doing her business. Her daughter's outside, in the stall door, just crying. And her daughter stops for just a second to catch her breath. and she's getting ready to cry some more, but right when she stops, they both hear a woman say, "Oh, don't cry."
Oh, that's not creepy.
Yeah. Of course, they both hear it. She swings open the stall door, even though she's still sitting on the pot. And, like, who the hell was that? Nobody in there.
Yeah. And then you guys said that you heard a woman recently.
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago.
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were closing up.
Yeah.
And we were standing over by the stairwell. Yeah. And I was talking. And all of a sudden I heard, it sounded like a woman's voice. I couldn't understand what she was saying, but it was really, Kim can recreate it better than I can. But I was talking and I heard it and I stopped. And I just turned and looked over there in that direction. And then I looked back at Kim and I said, "Did you hear that?" And she goes, "Yeah, it sounded like a woman's voice." But it was just kind of something like really quick. It was like something like,
It was almost musical. It was just like,
yeah, something like that. But we both heard it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, is there somebody from the tour that is still,
who
snuck back there, who wandered back there and is still back there? So we went back. We went back over there when we, the old kitchen area here, right where we are now, and I said, "Is anyone there?" Nobody answered, and I'm like, "Okay, we're closing up, so you're going to be locked in." And I turned the lights out, but there was nobody there. But we both heard it.
Yeah.
But to me, it kind of sounded like, I don't know if Ross told you the story about the woman, the security company.
We did not talk about that.
Okay.
But feel free to talk about it.
And I think this also ties into the woman that's been seen in the restroom. I think it may be the same woman, because there were stories from when the restaurant was here that a woman was also seen walking around the restaurant area. So I'm thinking it might be the same woman. I don't know for sure. But anyway, Ross ran into Luigi and his wife after we had been here a while. Yeah. He ran into them over at Merchant's Cafe, and she told him a story of, late one night, it was like, I don't know, 3-4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. The security company called, and she answered the phone, and the guy's like, "I don't know, really what I'm reporting or whether I should even be reporting this to you, but the door alarm hasn't been tripped, the motion sensors haven't gone off, but they had like audio surveillance so they could hear what was going on." And he said, we keep hearing this woman, and she just keeps saying over and over and over again, "Are you there? Are you there? Are you there?" until finally it just kind of faded away. So when Kim and I heard that was the first thing that I thought of, because it kind of sounded like it could have been like that. It was such a quick little thing, but it sounded like, kind of like it could be really quickly, like,
can you say, "Are you there?" in that, how you heard it?
Kind of lilt of it. It's like, "Are you there?" There was this like,
It was, yeah. But,
it had a lilt
we couldn't
understand
what she was saying.
I was just curious if it could have been that.
Well, from the sound of it, that was what it sounded like it could have been to me.
Because the lilt sounded like a question.
It was the first thing that I thought of.
Yeah.
But the weird thing was that even though the restaurant hadn't been here for 6 or 7 years, he also had another restaurant that used to be upstairs, and the alarm box was still in the office behind my desk on the wall. So there were a couple of occasions when it was the same security company, and they had to come down and do something with the alarm box or whatever. But there was one guy that came down twice, and twice he told me that he knew about that audio, of the woman, and that he'd actually heard it. He said they don't have it anymore. But we would cool if they did.
I wanted it.
Yeah. But this is somebody.
That would have been so cool.
But this is somebody that actually verified the story and said that he actually heard it, which I thought was cool. And I met this guy on 2 different occasions.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, it's very rare too that you get. I call it like civilians, just like people in the world that are not involved in the spooky things that we're into, like admitting that they hear something. And if you get someone that works for like a security company, the first thing they're going to try to do is say, well, was there an alarm tripped? Was there a person that broke in? Like,
because that's part of their job, is finding the why did this happen, and not a ghost did it.
Right, that's not the first option generally.
Maybe for us, but
for us, like out there, it's just like, footsteps. No, it's a walk-in refrigerator. We're all like, where were the footsteps? But I think that's almost makes it even more valuable to have someone of that nature say that, no, I can't prove that. That's legit.
Yeah.
Well, there is one story that we don't get to tell. And I haven't really had the opportunity to figure out how to put it in. And it's actually a really cool story. This actually goes back to when this was the theater. This came from one of the people that used to be in the theater here. And she said that they were here late one night. They were working on the sets. And they were packing up, getting ready to leave.
Oh, I totally forgot about this story.
Yeah. And they got everything, shut down, were getting ready to leave, and they got to the door and they saw a man standing at the top of the door. And they freaked out.
Right.
They all ran into the office, shut the door, and locked the door behind them. Because they thought they were getting robbed.
Yeah.
This is 70s, Pioneer Square. Late at night, probably, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning again, And so this is before cell phones. The phone itself was out on the desk. So they didn't have access to the phone.
Yeah, that's scary.
So they couldn't call the police. So they just sat in the office with the door locked, waiting, listening at the door, for this guy moving around or anything. They couldn't hear anything. They probably sat in the office, they said probably a good, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Before they got the courage to open the door to see what had happened, what he had done, if he'd gone through anything like that. And they open the door slowly and they start, looking around to see if he's anywhere to be seen. And they finally decide they're going to dart and get out the door. They ran up to the door was locked. Yeah.
So the whole time the door was closed and there was a man standing inside?
Yeah, I totally forgot about that story.
Yeah. I remember when they told us that story. Yeah, we don't get to tell that one, and that's
no.
That's
a great story, though.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm developing a new.
Is that going to be
a new tour?
Yeah.
And at the end of the tour, we'll talk more about some of the stuff here that we don't talk about on the original Pioneer Square tour, so we can have that story.
That's a great story for
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
And we're actually speaking on this podcast to promote the tours too, so that way, for whoever's listening right now, can come in and actually talk to the people that experience these things and learn more
I think
about
that's one thing that people love about our tours. We've been voted through quite a few different outlets, media outlets, being one of the top ghost tours in America.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, especially for such a young city. So there are a lot of stories that we don't get to tell, and so it's kind of nice to be able to develop new tours, because we get a lot of people coming back to the tours. And they say that's one of the things they like about our tours is it always seems to be a new experience every time they take the tour.
Yeah.
And that's great because there's a lot of ghost tours where it's just
each
it's a script.
Each tour guide has their own style, and you might take a tour, one time and for time, because there are time constraints. So if somebody's running a little long, they might leave out a story here, or if they're a little early, they might add something there. So it is a different experience. But we pretty much been doing the same tours for quite a while, so I thought it was time that maybe we offered something different. And our Pioneer Square tour used to cover the entire area, and I don't know how we did it.
I don't know either.
Because there's a lot of stories that we don't have time to tell.
We talked
anymore.
really fast.
We don't
no
go,
questions.
Well, at that time the tour was a 2-hour tour, but my tours usually ended up being like 2.5 hours because
people have questions.
I was always putting in maybe a little bit too much detail. I don't know, but we have areas that we don't go to now, and stories that we don't tell. So I thought it would be good to bring in something different, something new. So that people can get a different experience and tell these stories that we haven't been telling in a while. So because they're good stories,
they are, and I think too it just validates that, like, you might not believe in ghosts, or you might not believe in spirits, or like life after death, or energies, what have you, but when you have so many people having similar or same experiences constantly, just in the same space.
Well, there's so many people that come on the tours.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
You know, that something will happen during the tour, and it's like, well, you know, maybe I'm rethinking this. I remember the one night in particular. This was probably 3-4 years ago. There was some lady on one of the tours, and total. This is crap. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe any of this. So she comes. They come back at the end of the tour, and they go into the underground section. And she had her hair up in a bun, and she had she had like those chopstick things.
She's really asking for it.
In it, right? And I'm standing at the counter, and I don't remember who else was standing there with me, but they're in the back in the underground, and all of a sudden she comes running out of there, and she goes up the stairs, and she's gone. Well, apparently she was standing there. All of a sudden, those chopsticks flew out of her hair, and her hair came down.
No
and
way.
Just totally freaked her out. And she made a beeline. Yeah. So I think she left kind of believing that something's going on.
Something's messing with her.
But there's so many people that have experienced particularly stuff back in that corner in that underground section.
And we spoke earlier about how sometimes like ghosts just want to be acknowledged. They just want someone to like believe in them.
Well, you know what? That's what I think it is anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think that, this is my own personal opinion.
Sure.
I don't think that they're really out there to try to scare people. I think that they're probably confused. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to let somebody know that they're there, and they just they want to be noticed. I think that's what it is.
Totally.
I mean, every once in a while, maybe there's one that's trying to be, a little mischievous or a little touchy or whatever.
Very familiar.
But I think that's just my opinion, but I think that's what it is.
But especially for those people that are vocal about not believing in anything,
right.
Like they almost
it's just asking for
it's like putting a target on their head, that's
you come into a known haunted spot and it's like throwing down. It's like being like, I don't believe.
Yeah, no.
Prove me wrong, spirits. Prove me wrong.
Cool.
Yeah, and they're like,
I love a challenge.
Fresh meat.
Yes, exactly.
But that's also what's fun about, I think, the tours and the tour guides is that we have things that happen on our tours and we integrate that into the tours.
Yeah.
I've had things happen that now have become part of my stories because they were awesome.
And that makes your tours even better as you do them.
Yeah. And it's nice to have that personal touch. And I think people enjoy, too, the idea that something could happen to them and they could become part of the tour too.
Totally.
Because we have a couple pictures that have been submitted to us from people that we now show on the tour, and some personal stories, and it's really wonderful.
Yeah, we got the video of the little girl playing with the doll.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's a story too, because we bought that doll, and ever since we bought that doll, Ross was saying, it's like, there's a music box in this doll, and I didn't, and he's like, every once in a while it will start playing. It's like, I had never heard it. It's like, I didn't even think there was a music box in that doll. And but people had been saying that, that they had heard it play, and it would play for a few seconds and then it would stop, but I had never heard it. And then we do the monthly ghost hunts here, and the guy captured the video. This was, I guess, about 4 years ago now, that we put this one on the tour now. But in this video, he's just walking around with his camera, and all of a sudden the music box starts to play. You can hear the music box start to play, and people are talking, and he's like, hush. And the instant he says hush, and he's talking to the people that are talking, because he's trying to hear, it stops playing. So that was the first time that I had ever heard it. But I still had never heard it with my own ears.
Right.
So sometime later, I don't know how, it maybe been a year, that we had been showing, we had been showing this video on the tour, and this was maybe a year later. Kim had just finished a tour, and most everybody had left. We were standing at the counter, and there were like 10 people that were still standing there talking, and the door was open to the museum, and all of a sudden the music box started to play, and this is the first time that I had ever actually heard it. So everybody started to rush to the door. But by the time we got to the door, and this is only a few seconds, it stopped. But that was the first, and I think probably the only time that I've ever heard it play with my own ears. But it played for, I don't know,
Just a few
5
seconds,
seconds, 10 seconds.
Because
maybe.
I got in time to hear it still
Did
play
you?
for a few seconds before it stopped.
But that's the only time that I think that I've ever heard it. And I'm like, okay.
Well, and just recently, because
Somebody said they heard it playing the other day, just a few days ago.
Yeah, I heard there was another day I heard it playing, but I don't know for sure that somebody hadn't been messing with it because the chain was down.
Yeah.
And it's hard when that happens because
now it's hard to judge. You know, I'm sure that Ross talked about the chair moving.
Yes, we talked about the chair moving.
It's
earlier.
hard to know. You know, sometimes the chair will be moved out of the chalk circles, but it's hard to know because there's so many people in here throughout the day.
Yeah.
You know, with the Beneath the Streets tours and everything, and you know, people go in there and they mess with stuff, so it's hard to know for sure
without having a camera on it
but
all
at
the time.
first,
or without having the room be empty for a period of time.
but at first, you know, because the first year that we were here, they weren't here, so it was just us,
Right.
Just me and Mark.
And you know, so when that chair moved, I mean, there was no question about, you know,
You
whether
knew
or not-
someone.
And there was
nobody
a
was
time,
messing with it.
Yeah.
And there was a time I was taking that chalk and I was drawing circles, you know, in different places every day because we'd come in and the chair had moved to a different spot.
Yeah.
So I was trying to, you know, track its movement. So I was drawing circles all over the place and drawing, you know, arrows as to which way it
It
moved.
seemed to be moving in like this kind of like a 4-foot circumference, kind of in a circle in like a
Interesting.
4-foot
Yeah.
area. It was really strange. But there was one night, we hadn't been in here that long, and we didn't really have much in the museum. It was pretty empty at the time, and the chair was sitting there. We had done a private tour for like a bunch of 13-year-olds. Jerome, who's one of our tour guides, he's no longer with us, but he was with us for 7 years. He left last year, but he did this private tour for this group of 7-year-olds or 13-year-olds, and I think it was somebody's birthday or something. And he had to leave. He basically finished up the tour, but he had to leave because he had to go do like another pub tour or something. So I kind of took over. They wanted to go out into the underground section with some EMF detectors or whatever. So Jerome left. At least I thought he left, and so I took him out into the underground section, and we were out there for only 5 minutes. But when we went in, because we went in the one door, and the chair was sitting where it, you know, normally sits. And so we walked around the corner, came back in the other side, and I didn't notice it when I walked in, but the kids did. That chair had moved all the way over to the other part of the wall, which was probably like 8 feet away.
Wow.
And they were freaking out. So when I saw Jerome, I told him what happened, and I said, "Were you messing with the kids? Did you go in there and move that chair just to kind of freak them out?" And he goes, "No, I swear I didn't." So he swears to this day that he did not move that chair. So
who knows?
but it used to seem like there was a little more activity when there were kids that came through.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think too, like we also spoke to how once everything was settled and you guys had been here for a longer period of time, there's less activity.
Things seemed to settle down.
Yeah.
I think because the place had been empty for so long.
Right.
You know, it had been like 2.5 years since the restaurant had been here.
Right.
So, I don't know, maybe whatever entities are here, maybe when we started coming in and there was more activity, more people coming in and out, maybe they were kind of confused, you know, as to what was going on. And it was kind of stirring them up a little bit because, you know, they weren't used to it.
Yeah, and now they know what's going on. So they know what to expect, and they're mellowed out.
Yeah.
But I think too, like something to be aware of is that you never know what's going to happen when you're here,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I have people ask me all the time, because I used to be, not so much anymore, but when, you know, we first got in here and, you know, and I did all the painting and, you know, most of the decorating and stuff, so a lot of times I would stay after the tours were done at night. I would stay by myself and work on stuff, and so I was here alone a lot of the time. Again, not so much anymore, but people would ask me, it's like, "Ooh, don't you get scared being here by yourself?" I'm like, no, nothing's ever happened that has scared me.
And still to this
things
day.
that nothing has happened that has scared me. I've
You've been
experienced
startled.
stuff. Well, startled, but that's just startled. That's not, I'm so scared.
Loud noises will happen a lot. Like the one time we had that really bad flood, and water was just pouring out of the ceiling.
Oof.
And so I volunteered to spend the night because I had to make sure I was, emptying the trash bin, because we were filling the trash bin with water. And so I had to come back, and keep dumping that just so that, it wouldn't flood overnight. So I stayed the night. I'm in the office, and I'm trying to go to sleep. And every time I'd start to fall asleep, I'd hear this loud bang in the front area. And of course, being the investigator I am, I got to go see what that was.
Right.
Go out here, can't find anything. And I was starting to get frustrated. And I remember, again, it happened. I started to fall asleep, bang, there's this loud noise out there, wakes me up. I go and investigate. And right when I'm standing out there going, okay, I know you're trying to get my attention. What are you doing? All of a sudden, the broom falls by itself and makes this loud bang right behind me. I screamed. I did. I admit it. I screamed.
I would totally scream too. But that's like a startle moment.
Yeah, that was a startled
That's
moment.
a startle.
They're startled. Scared to me is when I need to leave. I need to leave. I need to not be here. Startled is that jolt because
not come back.
it's the jump scare. Yeah.
No.
Startled is the jump scare where you have that reaction, but then you're okay. Scared is the woman racing out of the underground because she had the chopsticks pulled out of her hair.
Yeah.
Like they're different, and I think as investigators too, it's a distinction. You can be startled by something, but we live for those things to happen, right?
It's an adrenaline rush.
Yeah,
I think it's a different kind of adrenaline rush when you're scared.
yeah, it is.
Well,
because it's the flight. It's the I feel like something. I could be in danger in a legitimate way, and so my only option is to leave.
Totally.
And that's not something here I've ever encountered where I felt like I need to not be here anymore. Right.
Well, I think the creepiest part is probably the back abandoned office.
Right.
That's
that right
the one.
behind us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
down
one of
that creepy hallway.
Yeah. It is creepy.
It's a little room that's like under the stairs that go. There's the staircase that goes up to the alley, and it's like right under there. And you know what? That room is not even on the original floor plan.
Interesting.
It's not even there.
So where did it come from?
I don't know. I don't know if it's. I know that the place has changed a lot when Luigi got in here, because apparently, from talking to people like one of our tour guides now, David, he worked here when it was the theater. And then we had Joanne, who did the cabaret last year.
Right. Yeah.
She worked here when it was the theater, and apparently it was totally different. I always thought that the brick archways were original. They're not. Apparently that was one big wide open space, except for a couple pillars. So and I think the wall that separates that area from the kitchen area back here, I think this was all part of it. I don't think that any of this is original. So I think a lot of this was put in when Luigi.
To make it a restaurant?
Yeah. So that may have been something that he did.
Interesting.
I don't know. But it's a really creepy little room, but I'm skeptical about stuff, and not that much really freaks me out, but it used to be I'd just walk over you have to go in the storage room right here to go over to that hallway right over there, and I would just go to the hallway, and I would just, I don't know how to explain it. I just get
uncomfortable.
Not even uncomfortable. It would be like shivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a common feeling back there.
Yeah.
Like, I know I've had that back
Unease.
there too. It's an uneasy
Too.
feeling.
Yeah.
It almost feels like It feels like you're getting the chills,
Yeah.
but it's not cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know for sure if it's because I was feeling that there was something back there, or whether it was just that the hallway and that little room, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
It looked like, you'd go back in there and there was like blankets and stuff in the corner, like somebody had been like squatting back there, when the place was empty.
Yeah.
And it was just nasty and disgusting. And so I don't know, maybe that was part of it.
Sure.
But again,
Well,
I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
The funny
I just
thing
got
is,
this really weird feeling.
the funny thing is when we first moved in here, I had put a call out to all, the ghost hunting groups and seeing if everybody can come together and help us, because this was a huge thing to kind of tackle for just me and Mark. I mean, this place was really a mess, and so I had put out word, saying, hey guys, if you help us, clean this place up, we'll let you investigate, because we knew that the place was haunted. That's why we wanted the space.
Right.
Well, to my surprise, a lot of these investigators, psychics, sensitives, did not like that room. Everybody refused to go back in that space. They didn't like it. So that was like the first thing that came up. There was also talk about there was a gentleman back there that just didn't like anybody in his space, and he would let you know. Well, then things started getting thrown around in there. We'd have investigations where people were getting hit with things. It started with corks. People were getting hit with corks, because there were corks all over this place, when we were cleaning up.
From the wine bottles.
Right.
Yeah.
From the restaurant.
So, yeah, people were, getting, pegged in the head with corks and stuff, but then all of a sudden rocks just started showing up and started getting thrown all over. Me and June would be back here because this space used to be the ghost office. So we had all of our audio equipment, so we'd be back here listening, to recordings, listening for EVPs, and then all of a sudden we'd hear like these loud pang, dings and all kinds of noises back there, and of course we'd hear these rocks being thrown in that back room. And it's funny because when we first moved in, that back room was clean, it had been swept up, it was, we got it all cleaned up nice. But throughout the years that we were here, all of a sudden that floor just started filling up with rocks that just came out of nowhere.
I was going to say, where'd they come from?
That's the thing. It was just all of a sudden the floor was just covered with rocks.
I don't even remember the last. Actually, I think I went back there a few weeks ago for some reason. I don't remember why, but I don't go back there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting. I actually did an investigation back there with June and with Jacob, a while back. I want to say it was probably like 6 months ago or so. And we had an EVP, or not EVP, we had an audio recorder for EVPs. We had an EMF detector, just old school light up, little $25 one from Amazon. And June had brought a candle, just wanted to have a candle in the room. And we also had an EMF that had temperature on it that I think Jacob had brought. And the temperature dropped drastically in that room. There was no power on or anything in the area where we were. And the EMF kept going off. We also played music in that room, of time period music. And also, I know there were some different languages spoken during, different times. So Jacob had looked up how to say certain phrases in different languages. And when he spoke different languages, the EMF kept going off, all the way up to red, consistently, which was really interesting. And then we also had a ball back there, I think, that we were throwing around, or talking about a ball. I can't remember. I have a horrible memory. But there was definitely insinuation of a child, and questions that were asked that were answered yes to, insinuating a boy. So I don't know if that's anything that's actual or relevant or true, but we definitely had interactions. We definitely saw like a significant temperature drop, like a 10-degree temperature drop.
Wow.
And it was constant for like an hour and a half of time. And actually that same investigation, we actually came out into the sitting room area, and Jacob had put up a camera that was it was a black and white, like night vision type camera, but also had a white light on it. And we were sitting down, I was sitting next to June, and Jake was sitting on the other side, and we had someone else with us. I forgot who it was, but same equipment on the table. And as we were asking questions, all of us on the peripheral, on my left side, saw something go in front of the light that was next to the camera. And we all saw it and stopped and looked at the camera. And we actually have camera or video evidence of this that I can link to. But you can also see it. I believe it's on the AGHOST website.
Yeah, I think so. No, he did a great job.
And
it was interesting watching that video. Yeah, but I do have to say too, another interesting thing is, Mark was talking about that room and thinking that, it looked like somebody had actually was sleeping back there. And we were told by a few of the locals that there was a homeless man that had broken into the building and made that makeshift home. And they also told me that he had died back there.
Oh.
But I'll be honest, I researched it. I tried to find, if there was any record of any homeless man being found back there. And I couldn't find anything on that. But I also found out, too, that Seattle didn't keep very good records when it comes to the homeless dying, throughout this area. Yeah.
There's probably so much of it.
Right. So that's another story that we were told, is that was happening, while this place was abandoned.
Interesting.
Well, there was something in the, right on the other side of the room here. There's the big metal doors right there, the double doors. Those are locked. We used to be able to get back there, but they locked them, and we can't get in there. There's an old generator that's been sitting in there that the city has stored in there, and it's been back there for 50 years or more.
Wow.
But there was one night, I remember walking back here, and I could see the light was on under the door.
That's weird.
And I swore I heard someone in there.
That's crazy.
There is a metal ladder attached to the wall that goes up to the ceiling in there, but there's no way to get in there.
So the only access that you have
it would have to be coming in from the alley, because the alley's right on the other side of the wall. But nobody can get in there. But there's no way for anybody to get in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I swore that I heard somebody in there, and I got nervous because it's like, is somebody somehow getting in?
Right.
So I started blocking the doors because I didn't. Because if you're they're locked from this side, but I'm sure if you're in there, you can open them from that side of the room.
Sure.
They're locked, from that side.
So you don't want.
But I was scared that
Right.
somebody was getting in back there and was going to get out here, when we're not here, and steal stuff or break stuff or
Sure. It's just not
whatever.
secure.
So I was like putting stuff in front of the doors because I swore I heard somebody in there.
That's
And
interesting.
that I could see that there was a light, because you can see underneath. I could see that there was the light was on.
And has that only happened one time?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it just made me really nervous.
Yeah. That would make me really nervous too.
But then I went up to the alley and I looked, and it's like,
Nothing.
because that ladder, I figured there was some sort of a trap
Latch.
door, a
Yeah.
latch or something, but
Yeah.
I couldn't see any way that anybody could get in there, or whatever it was there. It's locked solid so
Sure.
that nobody could open it or whatever it was. But yeah, that kind
That's hard
of
to
freaked
debunk.
me out. But
Yeah.
that just scared me, because I didn't necessarily think that it was some paranormal or anything. I just
Sure.
thought
You thought that was a
getting
person getting in.
there.
Yeah.
It's the living you have
But
to be
then
afraid
who
of.
knows?
That's true.
If nobody can get in there,
Yep.
but I'm feeling like I'm hearing somebody back there.
Yeah. That's definitely
Yeah.
shady.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to wrap up this sesh. I think we kind of got excited and went a little longer than normal.
You might have enough for 2 episodes.
I
It
think
might be a
this is going to be
two-parter.
a two-parter of Pioneer Square, more focused on Spooked in Seattle. So we just want to, together, Kim and I, thank Ross Allison. Thank you so much, Mark, for
Sure.
joining us.
Sure.
And for giving us this awesome information about Spooked. I didn't know about a lot of this. This was a learning experience.
Well, there's
for
more.
me.
There's more.
Probably
And
sit
we
here
can
for
definitely
hours,
actually have another episode on another time
Yeah.
where we can discuss more details
Yeah.
of experiences.
Thank you to Ross and Mark for hosting our recording at Spooked in Seattle. Sidebar, let us know if you have or hear any EVPs, that is electronic voice phenomena,
Thank you to Terrence Bonzi, boyfriend, for being our producer extraordinaire and for our music.
For more information on our group, A Ghost, you can visit aghost.org. For more information on Spooked in Seattle or tours or all the awesome things that we have coming up, you can visit spookedinseattle.com.
Also, don't forget about us. Follow us on Instagram at AGHOST Stories and say hi. We are also on Facebook as AGHOST Stories Podcast. Please give us a like and see what we have going on. If you have any paranormal stories of your own that you're like, oh my God, I can't hold this in anymore, I need to share with the world, please type them out, send them to us. We can probably read them on a future episode. Email us at aghoststoriespodcast@gmail.com.
Please subscribe and or follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. We are easily accessible on Spotify as well as on Transistor at aghoststoriespodcast.transistor.fm.
Thank you for listening and stay spooky, Seattle.